We did not win this war. This is nonsense. The Hamas sovereignty is stronger than ever, and the Israeli sovereignty is getting weaker and weaker. The Israeli army become a servant of two masters, the Americans and the Israeli people. Hey, we are the people of God. We're going to do it. We have the covenant with the Almighty. Of course we're going to win.
All right, folks, Yishai Fleischer here, and today I get a chance to speak with Moshe Feiglin. He's one of Israel's leading thinkers on the right. He's certainly nationalist. He's certainly pro-temple. He's pro-big Israel. He's against jihadism. But he also has parts of his personality which are different. He's libertarian. He ran on a pro-pot campaign as well. He has all kinds of sides to his personality. But he's constantly thinking about the way forward. And he's certainly thinking about this Gaza war and where it went and maybe where it went wrong. He also has a new book out. It's called Israel is Just the Beginning. We're going to talk with Moshe Feiglin, one of Israel's leading thinkers, a former Knesset member, a former deputy speaker of the House, and Knesset hopeful again in the next campaign. Moshe Feiglin joins me in studio. Moshe Feiglin, thank you so much for coming into studio today. It's an honor to speak with you.
Thank you, Yishai.
Gaza war. It's been a 2-year war. Thousands are dead. Bodies were in the streets. Children were murdered. That thing that happened in 2005, the disengagement, where we warned the country, don't give up this land, it happened. I was there with you. I remember you there. You were in Shirat Hayam. Right. And I was in Gadid. These were communities inside of Gush Katif. That's Gush Katif were the communities inside of Gaza. We were protesting there. We were telling the country, don't do this thing. And what were we saying? Were we saying that God gave us this land? Yes, but mostly we were saying, if you give this land away to the jihad, we're going to have an October 7th. It is going to be a horrible, brutal war against our people from this piece of land. We tried to stop it, but it didn't work. It didn't work. Ariel Sharon destroyed those communities, and we were kicked out. Now we just fought a 2-year war. So I'm asking you, as really an intellectual who, in many ways, takes the temperature of the nation, tries to understand where we are, where we're going. Where are we 2 years after this war? Are we in a good place, in a bad place? Is our nation stronger, weaker? Is our army stronger or weaker? Is our national security position weaker? Is our spiritual position stronger or weaker?
There are two sides to the answer. The people and the leaders. When I'm talking leaders, I'm talking about the government and the army leaders, the top army leaders, not the soldiers, not the middle commanders, but the top generals. So that's the leaders of the nation. So the nation, the people, are in an amazing advanced place, much more advanced than we were 2 years ago. I mean, a miracle generation that I was so surprised with the spirit of the soldiers. This generation, there's no words. There's no words. My confidence in the future is rockets in the sky. We're going to a good place because of the people. But at the same time, the leadership of Israel, and again, I'm talking about the government and the leadership of the army, of the armed forces, it took us backwards. We did not win this war. This is nonsense. Okay, the Israeli geopolitical situation today is much worse than it was at the 6th of October. We went backwards. I'll remind you that the goal of the announced goal of the war was to eliminate Hamas, right?
Right.
We are 2 years after. Almost 1,000 soldiers were killed in Gaza, including my grandson, as you know, Hashem Yikom Damo. Is Hamas eliminated? Hamas' grip at Gaza is stronger than ever. And at the same time, the Americans are building army bases in Israel. We lost the ability to defend ourselves by ourselves in our own country. You cannot shoot one bullet in Gaza without a permit from Washington. What does it mean? What does it mean? Who has the sovereignty? The one who has the ability, the right to use the armed force. Who is holding it today? It's not in Jerusalem anymore. It's in Washington. The Hamas sovereignty is stronger than ever, and the Israeli sovereignty is getting weaker and weaker. So these are the two directions that Israel took. There is the society of Israel, the young new generation, which is a generation of heroes, and we have, I would say it differently, we have the people of the future and the leadership of the past. That's the problem.
Well, you're saying that there are cross purposes. They're going in different directions.
Right. And the goal must be to create the kind of leadership that this generation deserve. A leadership that will take it to a victory and not to a strategic defeat that we're facing.
Is Netanyahu or the upper echelons, are they going to get in trouble? Like if you're, let's say, running a company and your CEO lost you $1 billion, usually you fire that CEO and you switch him out and you put in some new leadership. Like what's happening in our country? Where's the accountability? Where's the shkifut, the transparency? Where's that all about? Like, is there does anybody going to get, as we say,
accountability?
Yeah.
We don't know what the word accountability in Hebrew is. How do you say accountability in Hebrew?
Accountability.
Look, Herzl Levi, who is the direct responsible to the horror of the 7th of October. He was the chief of staff at the 7th of October, okay? He was in charge of our security at the 7th of October, okay?
Right.
We finally got rid of the guy. What did he do the next day? Did he commit suicide? Ask forgiveness? I don't know. Did a harakiri, like a Japanese general would have done in a situation like that? No, he went to Washington and got a medal in Washington. Okay, why did he get this medal? As somebody who served very well together with the Americans. In this book, that we'll talk about it soon, my new book, Israel is Just the Beginning, there's a paragraph about the Israeli security services, the Israeli army. And the name of that paragraph is the servant of two masters. Okay? The Israeli army become a servant of two masters, the Americans and the Israeli people, and we are not the first one online. Mm-hmm. Okay? So when Herzl Levi go to get a medal after disaster like that, there's a reason why the Americans gave him this medal. Okay? The Israeli interest is not the first one online for the top generals in the Israeli army. It sounds very, very bad. Read the book. Nothing is conspiracy over here. Everything is solid facts. Okay? We have a very, very serious problem with our top leading commanders in the army, not only in the army. I'll give you another example, Yishai. Okay? When Netanyahu finally managed to fire Yoav Gallant, the previous defense minister, who ran this disaster from the government, who was in charge of Herzl Levi, from the government, of the chief of staff, okay? Which day he picked to fire him?
Which day?
It was the day of the election in America, okay? The only night when he knew that no one is going to call him from Washington, okay? The night when they counted the votes in America. And afterwards, right afterwards, the day after, he promised publicly the President Biden that he will not fire the chief of staff and the chief of the Shabak, the GSS, the Home Shabak. The chief,
Israel's FBI.
Yeah, that's
Security
right.
Services.
It's the chief of the security services. Now, so he picked a day when the American cannot say anything and he's sure that he will not say anything to fire Gallant, and then he promised the president that he will not fire his own chief of staff. What does it mean, Yishai? What does it mean? And I'm talking about facts, historical facts.
Right.
What does Who in hell care about what you do with your own chief of staff? We have a serious, serious problem.
So what you're drawing is a picture that Israel has become a puppet state, a type of vassal state to the empire. It's become less independent, more dependent
Definitely.
on the.
When Netanyahu got into power in 1996, he spoke to the two houses. He got standing ovation. He said, "We're going to stop taking American aid." He did exactly the opposite during almost 30 years since then. Israel become more and more what you call a puppet state. I think, and it's not because we had no other choice. It's exactly the opposite. We're stronger than ever, but Netanyahu strategically took Israel, I would say, in a more graphic way, took down the Israeli flag without asking the people, and raised up the American flag here. Instead of calling the British mandate back, he's basically calling back the American mandate. And I understand him.
Okay, what's the rationale? What's the reasoning?
It's not economically. We're stronger than ever. It's not.
And that is under Netanyahu that Israel has become strong economically.
Yes. The economic miracle is basically written under few good reasons. One of them is Netanyahu. Yes,
Okay.
the immigration from Russia, for example, in the 90s, and others, but definitely Netanyahu. And when there is something to say to his favor, I will. Okay, I'm not a Netanyahu patriot or something like that, but that he did as a finance minister many years ago, as a prime minister. He led Israel to a strategic disaster. Okay,
In terms of what? In terms of
in terms of what we just spoke about, he's passing the Israeli sovereignty towards the United States of America with no real reason. We're stronger than ever economically. We're stronger than ever military-wise. It's just in the conscience, and the reason is there is no faith in the Jewish people. Look, when Ben Gurion declared the state of Israel in 1948, we were 600,000 Jews over here, surrounded with 5 Arab armies, real armies, not just the Haganah militias, few Etzel fighters. Not even you cannot even call it an army. A serious civil war inside the land against basically roughly the same number of civilian Arabs inside Palestine, the British Palestine, or how the British mandate called it. And all the Arabs said, we're going to finish the job that Hitler did not finish just 3 years before. And Ben Gurion and then the Americans withdraw from some decision of 29th of October of November in the UN, the separation plan that basically everybody was happy about, declaring the Israeli state. And not only that the Americans withdraw, the Americans put an embargo on sending any arms to the Middle East, meaning to the Jews. Okay, so you have nothing in hand. You're fighting against 5 Arab armies, in the same numbers that you have inside the land. They have also, the Arabs has also, and you're declaring the Israelis. You got to be crazy. Okay, Ben Gurion did that. Ben Gurion did that. Why? He had a vision. He believes in something bigger than him. He believed that he will go into the tunnel and there'll be light at the end. There'll be way out at the end of the tunnel. You have to have this visionary thinking and strong belief in your people. Netanyahu don't have it. The truth is, no one had it. No Israeli had it. Prime Minister had it after Ben Gurion. But I'm giving you the example of Ben Gurion to understand that now Netanyahu look at the map. He looks at a map right now. He see 80 million Iranians waiting for launching an atomic bomb on you, together with tens of thousands of missiles. You see the Egyptian army, 5 divisions, sits already in Sinai against the peace agreement, about an hour away from Beersheba, a tank ride from Beersheba. So we have 80 million here, 100 million Egyptians, another, I think, 60 million Turks that wants to do the same, declaring they want to do the same all around you. You have between them the Hamas, the Hezbollah, the Houthim. Should they continue? And Netanyahu looks at that and says, hey, we can. It's going nowhere. There's no chance. Let's bring the British mandate back. Unfortunately, the Brits cannot come again. We cannot reverse history. So let's bring the Americans. And when you look at this war, since the 7th of October, that 7th of October was a terrible horror. It was a Holocaust day. We had the whole thing in that day. I'm sure I don't need to explain to you what it meant, okay? But it was also an opportunity, Yishai. It was an opportunity to throw away the Oslo process.
Right.
The Oslo that we fought against, okay? When 30 years ago, I led the Zu Artzenu movement against Oslo. We blocked all the roads. We went. I was charged for sedition at the time. Okay, we did everything we knew what's happening. And then Netanyahu gets into power because of these demonstrations. After the assassination of Rabin, against all odds, the waves of the people that demonstrated against Oslo, he had the full legitimacy to roll Oslo to the garbage. It was Oslo to led to what you said. The disengagement and to the 7th of October. It started with Oslo. When did we bring the PLO from Tunisia and gave them the city of Gaza? When we bring Yasser Arafat, Imach Shemo, in Oslo? It all started in Oslo. So now Netanyahu has the full legitimacy again to throw away Oslo, to take over the Gaza Strip again, to rebuild Gush Katif, What does he do? He's waiting for 3 weeks to think what will be the goal of the... And you know what the goal of the war was? What was the real goal of these 2 years where I lost my grandson? What was the real goal of that? It was not a war. It was a seviv. How do you say seviv in English?
Another round.
Another round.
Yeah.
A tough round. But that's what it was.
Right.
Okay? It wasn't a war. You take a baby to Nativ Asara, to the eastern border of the Gaza Strip, and he starts crawling. After a week and a half, he's at the seashore of Gaza. So the Israeli army could have not done it in 2 years. They took over the half of Middle East in 6 days, right? What's going on here? It was not a war. You know what was the real goal of that war? Not to take Gaza.
Right.
That was the real goal. God forbid. We'll take back our country, our homeland. Gaza is part of Eretz Israel. For God's sake. What's going on? You see what they did? Throw them up, and everybody were behind you, the left, the right. The world would have said it the first month, nothing. You could do everything you could.
Right. There was all the legitimacy in the world.
That's right. He didn't do it.
Right.
Because his biggest fear was to take over Gaza and to throw away the Oslo process.
Right.
And you know why? Because the Israeli right, it's not only Netanyahu. It's starting from Jabotinsky already. The right-wingers in Israel don't really have an alternative to Oslo, to the leftist dream. And now let me take a breath, and we have to go a bit deeper into the story, okay? What was the goal of Zionism, Yishai?
Being normal.
Being normal, right.
Being normal. Right.
Being a nation like other nation.
Right. When you say, wait, hold on one second. The word Zionism has become like the word Smurf. It means everything to everybody, right? It can mean different things. When I say Zionism, I mean the ingathering of the exiles, the rebuilding of Yerushalayim, the Beit HaMikdash, the pin that you're wearing, the third temple. I mean Jewish sovereignty in the land. I mean a light unto the nations from Israel. I mean something very big. And I use that word Zionism. But if you use that word with other people, it could mean different things. Like, for example, for Chabadnikim, for folks that are Chabad, they hear that word, they understand it to mean secular Zionism with a very small vision of normalization. Okay, is that what you're referring to? That's the kind of Zionism you mean?
There's no doubt that the Zionistic movement was carrying on old dreams of the traditional Jews. Okay, without those traditional Jews, the Zionistic movement would not have soldiers. But the concept of Herzl and the leading concept is, let's be a nation like all the nations. What was the name of Netanyahu's first book? You remember?
A nation under the sun or something like that? Or amongst the nations, Mashu Kazeh?
Place among the nations.
A place amongst
That's
the
all we
nations.
want. That's all we're looking
Just
for.
a place amongst the nations. Right.
We find our place among the nations.
Isn't that okay, Moshe? Isn't that fair for Jews after 2,000 years of wandering, after all that we've suffered? Isn't it okay to want a breather?
But that's not the reason why we got our state. You know why we got our state? We did not get our state at this decision at 29 of November 1947. That meant nothing. American withdraw from the decision. We got a war immediately after, and technically it meant nothing. You know what was the real international decision? That because of that we got the state of Israel. It was the Balfour Declaration in 1917.
Right.
And you know why we got that declaration? They said it. You can read it in history books. Balfour and his friends said the following: we have to realize we are right after World War I, and there's a tremendous despair from the Enlightenment time. The 19th century was a very optimistic century. Here we after the French Revolution, and we managed to separate state and religion. And now, because we are all civilized nations, we find our way to happiness and prosperity. Okay, we have the Industrial Revolution. It was a time of very optimistic time, and now come World War I, and suddenly the Industrial Revolution gives you also the machine gun and the chemical warfare and airplanes that bomb from the top, and the war ends, and you can still smell the tens of million bodies from the trenches of the Somme and Verdun. And Balfour, who was a believer, and his friends in London, they were a believer. They believe in the Bible. The despair from human being. Look what we led ourselves to. They didn't know yet what's coming 20 years after in World War II. Yes, and they say to themselves the following: maybe when the people of the book, the descendants of the prophets, will go back to the hills of Judea, a new message of faith and hope and justice will rise to the entire world. These were the energies that gave us the Balfour Declaration, and later on in 1922, all the nations gathered, the League of Nations put their stamp on it, and gave us the right from the entire nations to come back to our land and to create the State of Israel.
That's called the Mandate for Palestine of the League of Nations, and they recognized our rights.
So this is what humanity expecting. You ask me, isn't it right just to look for a place among the nation after 2,000 years of exile? Hey, Yishai, we are the people of the book. Okay, there's a reason why we survived these 2,000 years. Okay, I mean, all the world, all humanity is looking at you and looking at me and say, hey, these guys, it's like two dinosaurs, little tiny dinosaurs, with puppets, but dinosaurs. We saw the Babylons, the Pharaonites, the Egyptian, the old time, right? The Greeks, the Romans. I mean. And we exist forever. We have some covenant with God. We are walking testimony of the existence of God. There's expectation from us. Of course, we're trying to run away from it. We just want our place among the nation. It's not going to work for us. Once we run away from it, it's flashback on us with tremendous anti-Semitism. When I saw,
You're saying when we don't fulfill our mission as a light to
we
the
cannot
nations,
run away from who we are and what is the reason we exist and what is the real reason and what is the real expectation from the state of Israel. Okay, and once we do that, and we just showing the pictures of the horrors, and Netanyahu goes to the UN with a QR code. Go to this movie, you'll see even more horrors that they did to us, okay? I mean, the Holocaust stopped working for us after 70 years, okay? So now we have a new Holocaust. Maybe that will give us a little bit of justification to stay here a little bit more. This is Netanyahu's head, okay?
But that's true also in like Tel Aviv in general, right? In Tel Aviv, I've spoken to a lot of Tel Aviv people. They say to me, which is Israel's like left-leaning kind of city, they say to me, I could see in their language that October the 7th gave them a new lease on life, a new justification, as you said, like a new moment where they could say to the world, you see, I'm a victim.
When I saw that, and you know, you're following me at the Israeli media, what I said at the very beginning, at the first week, I got crazy when I saw it taking. And one of the things I said, because of this campaign, trying to put the pictures of the hostages and so on everywhere and so on, a tremendous wave of anti-Semitism going to rise all over the world, and it is exactly what happened. Okay.
Why? What's the connection?
I'll tell you what the connection is. For 7 decades, okay, every VIP that came to Israel, what was the first place you took him?
Yad Vashem.
To Yad Vashem. Instead of building Beit HaMikdash, a temple, you built a different kind of Mikdash, a temple for your vision, for your positive vision. You build a temple for your horrors, okay? Now, you took every VIP there, and he was supposed to shut his mouth and not asking any question. Why do you need to create a state of Israel? Because look what happens when you don't have the state of Israel, okay? Now, you have the biggest challenge. This Holocaust came to your backyard.
In the state of Israel.
In the state of Israel. You created the state of Israel, and you convinced us that you did that, so this kind of picture no one will never see these kind of pictures again. Now when it happens, instead of dealing with that, you again showing us the pictures of how. So what do we need you for? To have unlimited wars in the Middle East? You suppose to show us humanity the path for freedom, the path for the spiritual path, okay? You're supposed to show us the way to our happiness under the wings of God. Instead of that, you're asking us for mercy. Who needs you? Go back to Warsaw, go back to New York, go back to Australia. What do we need you for? And it become a hatred. You proving by showing these pictures that there's no need to the state of Israel. Okay? So, but going back to Netanyahu. So Netanyahu is a very, very secular, logical way of thinking, looking at the geopolitic situation, and come to conclusion that we have to bring here the American mandate, and that's exactly what happened from the very beginning. I'll give you a perfect. Bigger? No, Netanyahu.
Didn't Trump say to Netanyahu,
this is amazing what happened here.
Okay.
You had 5 opportunities to become a real regional power after the 7th of October.
Right.
Create a Jewish original power that control the whole Middle East, basically, okay? That America can do business with.
Right.
And that's what Trump wanted you to do.
Okay.
Okay?
Just try to make an understanding then. He did want it.
Of course he did.
Okay.
Trump loves powerful states.
Right.
Right? He likes winners. Okay? So he tells you, just get rid of Gaza.
Right.
And when you hesitate, he tells you exactly how. Send them away. Okay? He tells you, which exactly what my party, Zehut Party, was saying in its platform already in 2019. This is what you should do. There's only 800,000 people in Gaza. Let them go. take over Gaza, rebuild Gush Katif, build the city of Gaza as an Israeli, Jewish Israeli city, just as you did in Beersheba, in Ashkelon, in Ashdod. Half of Israel is like that. That's what they did in 1948 and 1949 when you were nothing compared to today. Why can't you do it in Gaza when you have the full support of America? Trump expecting you to do that, okay? Why can't you do it today? And don't tell me that they had nowhere to go. They did. It's not all these things are. We could have done it, okay?
Sure.
So you could win, and that would have been a real victory. That's the way, whoever starts with us disappear.
Right.
And on our graves are the Israeli cities today, flourishing synagogues and kindergartens and high tech and new airport field and so on. Life instead of death. So he missed that. That was the first opportunity. Then the beeper attack. Suddenly, the Hezbollah that everybody was so afraid of, I mean, it succeeded way beyond everybody expected. The Hezbollah crumbled totally. Israel can take over Lebanon, and at least until the Litani River or the Zaharani River, expel all these Hezbollah villages from there. And this is a Jewish soil, okay? My family grew up vegetables. I mean, they lived in Metula, up north, okay? The land, Emek Ayun, the Ayun Valley was belonged to Metula before 1948. It was given away in the peace agreement with Lebanon by Ben Gurion in 1949, okay? Okay, now you attacked us. There's no agreements anymore. Again, show that whoever attack you, and definitely from a land that belongs to the people of Israel, it was promised by God and was kept by Jews. No, we draw back to our. So that's the second opportunity he lost. Then the Syrian state disappeared. The whole Sykes-Picot agreements crumbles down. And Trump tells Netanyahu, go ahead, take a third of Syria. Look at my desk, Trump says. You see this pencil? Israel is like the pencil. Instead of, you got to take over some land to become a regional power. He wanted you to be, okay? Right. No. And now he withdraws from Syria. Even from the Hermon, he's starting to withdraw. And withdraw. And Giuliani already understand that there's no reason to be afraid of Israel, and already comes out with declarations he's going to take over Jerusalem. Okay, we're going to have a war soon with Syria of Giuliani because of this miniature way of thinking of Netanyahu, and so that I think the fourth. Now, the biggest opportunity was the attack on Iran. The attack on Iran was amazing. The Israeli Air Force did a miracle. Everybody understand that, okay? The Mossad and the Air Force did miracle. It was miraculously success. Okay, I mean, just technically, the fact that no plane just fell into the water without gas. It's amazing what happened over there. We took over the sky of Iran. Okay, Iran basically wanted to be the superpower of the Middle East, right? We took their sky like that. We humiliated Iran. We managed to kill all the scientists that dealt with the nuclear operation. We managed to kill all the biggest commanders, the chief of staff of the Iranian army. Why didn't we kill Khamenei with that surprise attack as well? Because he did not have this dream of becoming a regional power.
Right.
Why didn't we take over? We shut down their ability to pump out oil, which was much easier to do than what they did, the oil is basically, I think, 85% of the Iranian income. Why did we shut down the power, the ability to create electricity? Okay. You see that Netanyahu wanted to give the victory to Trump. Now, the story that we needed the B-2s to finish the job is nonsense. Is nonsense. Israel have bunker busters that cannot go deeper as the American busters, but they can get into a window, which we proved, right? So you can shoot few one after the other and get the same results. Okay, we did not need this American
B-2 bombers.
Netanyahu wanted Trump to be the winner of the war, not Israel. And you know why? Because if we win the war, we have to take responsibility as a regional power. And we're still thinking as a community in the diaspora.
Right. So here I want to say it like this. For me, when I hear you say these things, I think to myself that there's a tension between Jacob and Israel, Yaakov and Israel. Jacob is the Jew that exists in the diaspora. He's clever. He knows how to operate the system that he's within, the sovereign that he's living in, the empire that he's living in, the maverick, the system that he is within, so he knows how to deal with it. But he doesn't take full responsibility, and his job is to survive. That's Yaakov. Because remember, he's holding on to the heel of Esav, right? Heel of Esav. So he's always dealing with the heel. He's within that framework. Israel is not that. The word Israel means Yashar El. It means I'm the boss. I create the framework around me. I came to a conclusion that the first person who was Israel in history was King David.
Okay.
King David was the first Israel. He was the first to unite the tribes. He was the first to make Jerusalem a real capital. He was the first to get rid of the Philistines. And he took over the land and he behaved, as we say in English, like a boss. He took care of business. He was the framework. Now come to me. You want to make deals with me? Okay. But now I am here on this land and there's no more doubting. This is the framework. He is not Yaakov in his mindset. He's Israel in his mindset, King David. I would say that Netanyahu has got a very Jacob mindset from what you're laying out to us. He's always shrinking back into, give me the big system to embrace me. Give me I don't want to take responsibility. I don't want to be big. I want to be small. I want to be a ghetto Jew. Now you be the Puritz. You be the big landowner, and I'll be your servant. And that is a comfortable place for me.
It's funny. I 100% agree with what you say, and I want to explain how did it happen. Because Netanyahu is a ghetto Jew. He's a secular person. He's a proud Israeli, strong prime minister, state of Israel, 10 million people, high tech. You're calling Netanyahu a ghetto Jew? Yes. Now, that's something that we need to explain. Okay. We started to talk about Zionism before, okay? So Zionism was the movement that was supposed to take the people of Israel from a position of communities in the diaspora back to a position of a nation, sovereign nation on its own land. But we decided to do it, becoming a nation, from a new, with a new concept.
A new concept.
There's a difference between the Jewish nationalism and the rest of the nations. What is the difference? Take the Italians, for example. What makes the Italian Italian? Because he was born in Italy. So these people on that soil, okay, created their language, created their culture. And that's how Italy was born, the state of Israel, the nation of Italy, okay, or the British nation, of the French nation, or the Russian nation, the covenant with the land. So what makes the British? Because he was born in England, okay. The French was born in France. What makes the Jew Jewish? Because he was born where? He was born in Mount Sinai. Okay? He was born in Egypt. So by us, by the Jews, it's not a covenant with the land. It's the covenant with the sky. It's the covenant with God. We got into to the land of Israel, into the Holy Land as a promise. God, the covenant with God made us a nation. And then as a nation, God took us and gave us the Holy Land. Why? To fulfill a mission. When we're not fulfilling our mission, we're losing our right to this Holy Land.
That's right.
Okay? So that's the difference between us and the nation. Now after 2,000 years, come the Zionism, and they decide to create us, to bring us back to the level of a nation, from communities in exile to a sovereign nation, not on the concept of the covenant with God, but on the concept of the covenant with the land as the rest of the nation. We're going to be nation. That's why the first sentence in Megillat HaAtzmaut, in the Declaration
Of Independence.
of Independence of Israel, is the first sentence. You remember the first sentence: "Be'eret Israel kama Am HaYehudi."
Right.
In the land of Israel,
The nation of Israel arose.
arose, which is a lie. Okay. But it's not true. Historically, it's not true. But why it was so important for us to start with this sentence? Because we wanted to be a nation like all the nations. Okay. So it worked. This new Israeli nationality instead of Jewish nationality, I would say, okay? Civilian nationality, a nationality where the Arabs are part of the nations. Ahmad Tibi and you are the Israelis the same way, right? He can be a Supreme Court judge. He can be the prime minister, maybe. He can be Ahmad Tibi can be the chief of staff. Why not? We try to create that kind of nation, just like the Americans, the British, everybody else. It doesn't work. Why? Because what makes us a nation is the covenant with God, and God did not have this covenant with the Arabs. He had it with the Jews. So this new concept of Israeli nation worked as long as we were David and our enemies were Goliath, okay? Because this Zionism of existence, this new nation that we created, Israelis, instead of Jewish, okay? Instead of Jewish, not on top Israelism, not as another layer on top Judaism, but instead of Judaism, this nationalism had to justify itself somehow. What gives us the right to the land? What are we doing here? And we justified ourselves with Yad Vashem, as I said before. That became our Beit HaMikdash. But then something terrible happened. We won the 6-day war against almost all the Middle East. Suddenly, we are the Goliath. We cannot justify our existence just on how poor we are. Okay, when Saadat comes to Jerusalem, not with a knife, but with a handshake, Menachem Begin crumbled down and give him a whole Sinai immediately, because what can I do? I just wanted to exist. He comes with a peace. Menachem Begin could not tell Anwar Saadat, okay, at the late 70s, that I'm sorry, Sinai is part of Eretz Israel, and we will fight for the last grain of sand if needed. You want peace, you'll get peace. You lost it, you started a war, you lost it, and that's it. You want a handshake, you get my handshake. That's it. Let's think of a ways to live with it. That's not something that, okay. So now after the 6-day war, okay, when we are the strong, we're losing our basic justification for this new invented nationality that we did, and we become slowly but surely a community again without understanding. We asked, how can we say that Netanyahu has a mentality of a ghetto? The prime minister of the 7th of October was not a prime minister of a state. It was the head of a community in a diaspora. Okay? This fake nationality that we invented and worked very well for the first 20 years against all our enemies do not exist anymore. We needed to transfer, after the Six-Day War, after the Yom Kippur War, 50 years ago, from Zionism of existence to a new kind of Zionism, Zionism of a purpose, which we spoke about before, okay? We did not do it. So our old nationality, our new invented nationality disappeared, and our conscience, without even noticing, slowly but surely went back to
the ghetto.
To a ghetto.
Right.
Okay. And how do I prove that? When a nation faces a war, okay, they want to win. They want to take over land. You're winning by taking over the enemy's soil, right? How did we behave from the day one, since 7th of October? How did we behave in a diaspora when we were in the ghetto and the Cossacks did pogroms on us and killed our children and raped our women? What did we do? We screamed to the king, come save us, okay? The same king that usually sent the Cossacks, okay? The Tsar or whatever. That's how we behaved. How did we behave at the 7th of October? It was the strongest army in the Middle East. How did we behave? We screamed to Biden, and we said, hey, he's sending the Gerald Ford, right, to save us. And then did we conquer the land? No, we did the second thing that we did in the diaspora. We did Pidyon Shvuim,
redeeming the hostages.
Redeeming the hostages. Right. Instead of just simply closing the water supply, the salt supply, the electricity supply. You want to breathe air or drink a cup of water. Come out with the hostages. Right. That's all we needed to do. Right. We not even have to send the soldiers into the tunnels, right? But when you have the ghetto mentality, no. That's what you're dealing with the hostages. It was not about winning. It was about bringing here the king or the paritz or the czar. This time it was the Americans, and taking care of the individual.
But the worst part about your story is that you're even saying that the czar is even saying to you, "Hello, be big, be strong, be independent."
Because it's a good czar. At the beginning, he has Jewish grandchildren, right?
But then we're forcing him. I remember that
we were forcing him to turn to Giuliani,
right? And my mom and I said, when Trump started speaking like that, we said, "Watch this. We're going to definitely disappoint him. We're definitely not going to be the people that he expects us." But let me ask you this. I have to shift gear for a second here. Okay, I have a 14-year-old son. Okay, in a few years, he's going to be going to the army. You have grandchildren already of that age. Okay, they're going to be like, "Grandpa Moshe, like I'm going to this army unit. I'm going to the Sayeret. I'm going to be a fighter. Like, do you give me your blessing?" I heard you say on an interview on Yishai Fleischer that the army is not going to want to win and maybe endanger my life needlessly. Maybe I'm going to go inside a tunnel needlessly. And this is a real question that people ask me. They ask me straight up. How do you answer that?
On one hand, we have to go and say we don't have a spare country, we don't have a spare army. Mm-hmm. Okay. On the other hand, we got to switch this leadership. Mm-hmm. Okay. If we really care about our grandchildren, and I already lost one. Okay. This is what we need to do.
Right.
We have very, very, very good people in the government. We have Smotrich, we have Ben-Gvir, we have very good Knesset members in Likud, but they're all hiding under the leadership of Netanyahu or somebody like Netanyahu that will replace him. A leadership with a vision we don't have. It's only us.
But it's not just at the top, isn't it? That's what sometimes when I hear you talk, something bothers me a little bit, which is that I think to myself, I also know Israel, and I realize that the problems aren't at the top. They're not always at the top. They're also in the mid-level, in the bureaucracy. I'll give you an example. I was just speaking to a very fine police officer today. And he says to me, my kid did very well on the tests. He wanted to become a doctor, but they basically wouldn't accept him. And the person who filled that seat was an Arab.
Of course.
Because there's a quota for Arab. This kid went to Prague, became an eye specialist, and stayed there. And then they cry to you in Israel, we don't have enough doctors. They're taking, by the way, the 72, 73-year-old Russian doctors, they're bringing them back out of retirement.
Do you see the steam coming out of my ear when you're telling me that story? I hear the story all the time.
I'm asking you, you've been talking for years about changing the leadership. And okay, but it's not just at the top. There's some kind of, it's inside the system. We're dealing with a lot of system problems.
But you cannot deal with the problem inside the system if you don't have a vision. If you're not willing to take a chance. If you're not willing to sacrifice yourself on that. Okay? How many supporters of Netanyahu sitting in jail right now? How many right-wing people who voted Likud, who voted for Netanyahu, who supported Netanyahu, okay? Did Netanyahu ever risk himself to until this system got to him personally? He supported the system. He was proud. He said, I'm defending the Supreme Court."
Right.
That did all these horrors.
Right.
Defending that system. As long as I'm on the chair. I don't want to sound that I'm too much against the person.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that you don't have in your bones the understanding of what kind of a vision you're serving, okay? So when you don't have that, when you don't have the vision, going back to the vision, that's the answer to what you're saying now as well. When you don't have a vision, your Waze application, navigating application, the place to put the address where you want to get to, has only one option. The address where you are right now. Mm-hmm. And you will not risk, not against the Supreme Court, not against the deep state of any kind, that you just, it's the opposite. You're going to help it be developed. You're going to develop it. Trying to make deal with that, as long as it's not touching you. Look. Israel needs a tremendous change. What the example you just gave is one of the horrific. I mean, we need a leadership that's willing to take risks, outside and inside.
But it's not a revolutionary
Just
country. It's not like that. You know, when you live in America,
It is like that. Not true. It is like that. The people, we saw it in this generation.
It's a socialism. It's a type of.
Not
You've
true.
been talking about.
No,
liberty.
no. Now I disagree with the first time. I disagree. I don't agree with you, Yishai.
I just mean to say, in America, revolution is part of the DNA. Here is revolution. Have you ever heard? Let me ask you: has anybody ever spoken about changing the government system? No.
The days after the 7th of October, everybody said they should all go home. Right. Everybody said that, left and right.
And then what happened?
And then they looked, and then for 2 years, Netanyahu took us to around, right. And people got used to the fact that there's nothing can be changed. And then again, and so now, okay, you got your hostages back. Thank God, okay? And we don't hear about soldiers dying every day. Right. There's not no big battles anymore. And things that, and it's like a kind of an agreement that no one would have agreed with to have, even from the left, right. at the first month. Now everybody don't have any hope anymore and willing to accept that, and going back to fight between the left and right, and yes Bibi, no Bibi, and everybody is expecting the new 7th of October to come. Right. from everybody understands that it will, Judea and Samaria,
Syria,
but take us as something that you're not.
Right.
But if Netanyahu would had that vision at the 7th of October, he could rebuild the state of Israel with the support of everybody. It's not true that the people doesn't want.
People would have been there with him.
The people are amazing. Definitely the young generation of heroes that we never had before. The problem is only the leadership, Yishai, and the responsibility to create this leadership is the Nitet Kippot, is the religious Zionists, the silver platter that gave more than any other rank in the society to save Israel. You need to have a prime minister and commanders from the army from that layer. But we don't believe in ourselves. I'm screaming it for 30 years already. Okay, so what do we want? To sit and wait to the next 7th of October? To miracles? I want to tell you something more than that. More than that, okay? There's a reason why this war is taking place here right now, okay? It's much more than Israel. It's much more than Netanyahu. It's the entire humanity. It's the entire civilization. It's the entire Western civilization, which I call the civilization that believes in one God. Okay. We're facing an attack on the entire civilization through a combine of two major forces. One is the Islam, and we all know that wherever the Islam gets, become a desert. Okay, the first commissioner to Sinai, the British commissioner to Sinai during the 30s, his name was Lord Darvis, and he said the Arab is not the son of the desert; it's the father. He is the father of the desert. Okay, now. Just because I mentioned that, I'm a persona non grata in England, by the way. Okay, just for mentioning what he said. So the Western Europe at least is gone. It's occupied by the Islam, and they keep on going on. But this is just the hammer.
The hammer.
The hammer that hits civilization from the top. The hammer is worthless when there's no
anvil
under.
Right.
What is the anvil under the hammer? Okay, the anvil is progressivism in the West. Progressivism. Progressivism wants to do exactly the same thing, to crumble down civilization by erasing all identities. Identities are the identities, the human identity, the sexual identity, the family identity, the national identity. These are the basic blocks that build civilization, okay? Now, so that's the anvil. You see the combination of both in the university in America.
Sure.
You see gay movements. You see Greta Thunberg, which is another part of the environment, another part of
progressivism.
Of progressivism.
Right.
You see feminism. Why the feminist movement, international feminist movements, did not agree to condemn the terrible rape of the 7th of October? Because it's not about women, it's about progressivism, okay? And they combine forces with Islam against civilization, Western civilization.
Right.
Now, who is their immediate enemy? Okay? Their immediate enemy is the people that brought the belief in one God, the people who brought the Ten Commandments. These two pillars create civilization. The paganist world could not create the Western civilization. So the front that they're both aiming to is the Jewish nation that is represented today by Israel.
Right.
Okay? So Israel is the front that protect the entire civilization.
Wow.
It's not only our fight, okay? It's the fight of the entire civilization. You know, there's a reason why I'm showing here on my book. You see, Israel is just the beginning.
Right, and you have the domino pieces falling: Israel, the United States, the European Union, and the point is that I guess Israel is the first line of defense for
Right,
civilization.
right.
Well, interestingly enough, the Jewish people are building the land of Israel. Jerusalem is being rebuilt, but at the same time, there was a whole process of building a great city called New York. And the Jewish people had a huge hand in building New York. Right. Not like other cities, not like London and Paris, not like Melbourne, not like that. We had a hand in all those cities,
Right.
but it's different. New York is different. The DNA of New York, and I'm a former New Yorker. And to be honest with you, by the way, when I left New York, I didn't hate New York at all. I wasn't one of those. No, I thought this was a great city. I was always enamored by the fact that New York always lets you in. B'vakasha, come in, be New Yorker. It was never snooty. You come to Paris, if you're not French, it's snooty. You know, It looks down on you. It wasn't like that at all. And it is a great city, was certainly a great city. And now this great city has these two forces combined in one man.
Right.
Mamdani.
Right.
Good looking, good talker, good politician. And yet he is progressive socialist communist together with jihadist in one good looking package. And he has made no hiding, really, of his agenda. Just recently, there was a protest outside of an Aliyah event at Parkey Synagogue. And pro-Hamas folks did a big protest there. And he backed them. He said, racist, colonialist stuff should not take place in holy places like synagogues. So he's undermining that. Now, the other day, I posted on X, I posted a tweet or an X. I said, hey, New Yorkers, you did a great job. New York Jews, you did a great job. And Mamdani's not going to be able to destroy a great city overnight, but he certainly will begin. You should buy property in the land of Israel. Be part of the next step of our people's history. Mm-hmm. You did your thing. The door is closing. As I've said before, the Chafetz Chaim said that Lavan's face has changed. And so therefore you should know when Lavan's face changes, it's time to go, like it says in the Bible with Jacob. And so buy property. Then this American podcast picked up on my tweet and they were like, look at these Jews. They always hated America. They don't care about America. They just want to jump ship. They want to milk it dry. They want to suck it dry and then get out of here. They came out with this kind of anti-Semitism. It's like, you can't win out there. Okay, you got this guy, he's threatening our life, he's threatening our Judaism, he's threatening our Israel, he wants to arrest Netanyahu, whatever it is. And now these podcasters are saying that even when you say, hey, get out, be safe, Jews, they don't like that either. Where are we at?
Look, the prosperity, we know, Yesha, you and I know very well that the prosperity of the nation has a connection to the way they behave to the Jews. Those who blessed you will be blessed. Those who cursed you will be cursed. Who cares about Mamdani? I don't give it, nothing to Mamdani. Mamdani is nobody. I don't care about Mamdani. And I know that there's enough good non-Jews over there that understand that their future is as a nation, as a civilization.
Right.
Depends on Israel.
There are millions of people
on what's happening in Israel. I don't care about Mamdani, okay? Once Mamdani is talking like that and acting like that, that's the end of New York. I mean, it's because of the prosperity of New York, as you mentioned, mostly because, but definitely has a connection to in Florida, they understand it. They want the Jews to come, okay? Whoever gave this welcome that you described to the Jews prospered, okay? Whoever fought the Jews disappeared at the end. And this is what's going to happen sooner or later to the West, unless they will pick themselves up back to this basic understanding. Those who bless you will be blessed. Those who cursed you will be cursed. Will find themselves in the cursed position. Look what happens today in the just today to the entire Muslim world. What's happening? Iran is dried out. Okay, same thing with Egypt. Look what's going on in Syria. The whole Islamic world is one big shamble, disaster. Okay, I'm sure the Iranians understand that what's happening. That they're thirsty. They're going to evacuate Iran because no water. I'm sure they understand deep inside why they got this curse. Okay, so I think we should call from here the good side of humanity, the people of faith, people who believe in God. Okay, to stay tuned, to stay with the people of Israel, and to understand that the direction that the Israeli nation is taking is not led by this leader or the other. It's led by God. Okay, the fact that Israeli is the only micro civilization. We are not West, we're not East. We are our own micro civilization that's still having more than 2.1 babies per family in the world, in the entire world. Okay? There's life over here.
That's right.
There's life.
That's right.
Something amazing is going on here.
That's true. And I always like
We have responsibility to explain the real situation to the entire world. That's why I wrote this book.
That's right.
And we have and you can get it on Amazon.
Right. It's so great, by the way, that you put it out in English, because I read your book in Hebrew. And by the way, I wanted to ask you about this. Notice that you have different titles. This title says "Man in Search of Identity," the return of humanity to identity and liberty as an Israeli, as a message, a light of Israel's light to the world. And this one says something different. It says Israel's just the beginning, and it's much more about the fight that the progress.
The book is exactly the same book,
right,
with a different cover.
Yeah.
And the reason is because the company who did it to me said, no one will understand it.
Right. This is
you need to cover it somehow different than that, so people will to get the attention of the people. But it's the same. It's the exact same book. So we need to do this both thing. We need to explain which what the book does, and I know from people who read it that once you read this book, Yishai, you're starting to understand not only what's happening in Israel, but also what's happening in the entire world, in the entire civilization.
I can say clearly that I got a lot of ideas and understandings. And what's not fair for people like you is that people like me will read your book and it'll become just part of our regular consciousness.
But that's
goal,
a must. To understand what's going on, you need to read this book, and but we still have responsibility to create that kind of leadership in Israel. That this generation deserves.
Okay, I need to ask you some tough questions though. Come on, I want to ask you just about Israeli Arabs. You got these things called Arabs. You know how many Arabs are in Israel? The way I count it, we have 2 million in regular Israel, 2 million in Judea and Samaria, maybe 2 million in Gaza.
No. Hey, Yishai.
Okay,
you
so
need to know
so
the
fine.
numbers.
So let's say my numbers are too big. Let's say 1 million in Gaza.
I'll make it very simple to you. Okay.
How many Arabs live in the land of Israel today?
Okay. In Gaza, there's no more than 800,000 Arabs left.
Okay.
All looking for their way out.
That's right.
All
There's many
Israel
videos
need
of
to
them
do,
saying, just open the door.
Okay. In Judea and Samaria, there are less than 1.5 million left. Most of them, definitely the young generation, wish to leave. Okay. In Gaza, we should just show them the way. In Judea and Samaria, we should pay them money to leave.
Okay.
Carrots, not okay, and they will. And then annex the land. The whole plan is there in our platform. It's translated to English. You can see it. In Israel, there's as you said, between 1.5 and maybe a little bit more, Israeli Arabs. They don't have babies like us.
Okay.
Okay? Doesn't work with them. The miracle doesn't work with the Israeli Arabs. The gap between Jews and Arabs getting the demographic situation get more and more in favor of the Jews. From every three students, Arab students, that leaving to learn in European university, only one come back. The families joining them. They understand it's not their land. And we should understand that as well. We should have the leadership that understand that this is our land. The state of Israel is only the homeland of the Jewish nation, no one else's, okay? When the Supreme Court judge, an Arab Supreme Court, judge, will not stand up to the Hatikva, he should be kicked out. There should be an Israeli flag in every Arab school in Israel. Should realize that Israel is a Jewish state, nothing else. A Jewish state
With minorities that live inside?
Yes, and as long as they loyal to the state of Israel as the homeland of the Jews. Privately, they have all the rights. Nationally, it's not an Arab homeland.
Right.
It's a Jewish. As long as they're loyal to this fact, they'll have their full citizenship. Once they challenging that, so what should happen to them is that we should take away their citizenship. Just as if I have a green card in New York and I'm saying, hey, this is my state, I will find myself on the airplane
That's right.
the next day, right? So we should understand that. Fine. That's the conscience that we should come with.
You ran for Knesset through the Likud. You became a Knesset member.
Right.
You became a deputy speaker of the House. That's a big deal.
Right.
And that's cool. But then the next time around, you ran with your own party.
Right.
And that didn't get in.
The Zehut party.
The Zehut party, which means
Almost
the
got
identity.
in.
Almost got in,
Yeah.
but didn't. It didn't pass the threshold.
Right.
We have a kind of high threshold in Israel.
Right.
You want to run again. I've argued with you, and I said to you, listen, you are a public intellectual. You are a great thinker. You're not different in what you are able to do and change people's minds than a Ben Shapiro in America or whatever it is. Why try to go again into politics? And if yes, what are you going to do different than what you've done in the past?
Because I have responsibility to your 14-year-old child that you mentioned before. We cannot leave them with again to a leadership without a vision. And what needs to be done is exactly the opposite of what we did since the 7th of October. Exactly the opposite. Okay, we should have conquered the Gaza Strip in 1 week after, not by sending the troops inside, but simply closing the water supply, as I mentioned before. We should have dealt with Iran the way I said before, and become a regional Jewish power. We need a leadership that see Israel as a Jewish regional superpower. Okay, a superpower that have that message to the entire humanity, the message of faith, the message of freedom, the message that Lord Balfour and his people expected us to radiate to the entire world when they gave us the declaration 100 years ago. This, when you're coming with this understanding, you have the right to the land. The land of Israel belong to us only if we fulfill our true message to the entire humanity. And the good side of humanity is expecting us to do that, Yishai, okay? This is the kind of leadership that we need in Israel, and I feel responsibilities to do it because no one else is doing it, okay? So I cannot just write books. It's very important, but I also need to go on a path to the leadership of Israel, and not only for the Jews, for the entire world.
I saw you on stage in Hebron. You said a phrase which I thought really condensed all of your philosophy into one tiny phrase. I liked it. I've used it in your name since. You said then that if a prime minister of Israel is wearing the pin, the yellow ribbon pin, we will never be actually victorious. He has to wear the pin of the Beit HaMikdash of the third temple. That's the only way for us to be victorious. So the pins, either the yellow pin.
They call the war, this horrible murderers of Hamas, they call the war the flood of Al-Aqsa, the flood of the Temple Mount. Okay? The war of the temple. They called it this way.
Right.
Okay. In front of that symbol, the message of death, the Islamic death that will come out from the holiest place on earth, we should come with this message, the message of life. God of life, not God of death, okay? Should come. Once we connect to our purpose, to our vision, we easily gonna win it. But if we're not connected to it, they'll keep on winning and conquer the whole world.
So Moshe Feiglin, final question for you. Are you positive about the future of the state of Israel? I mean, one could get depressed. When dealing with stuff, when you're speaking in English, sometimes you just see Israel from afar. It looks like this thing. You're like, it's all good. We got great leadership. Everything's happening. Wow, wow, wow. Jerusalem's being built. It's good. But when you're on the inside, you could see a lot of the dark forces that are still in control. Are you positive? Are you bullish, as we say in English?
I'm very optimistic. We started with that, and I'm happy you're ending with that also. Yes, the challenges are tremendous, but looking at the history of the people of Israel and see what we achieved so far. Hey, did anybody believe in May 1945 that Israel in 70 years from now, the Israeli economy will be stronger than England and France? Okay, soon our GDP gonna be bigger than America. Okay, okay, so we have a problem. Changing of generations. We need to change leadership. We have big problems, huge challenges. But hey, we are the people of God. We're gonna do it. We have the covenant with the Almighty. Of course, we're gonna win.
Folks, I want you to check out, I read it in Hebrew and I enjoyed it. This is the original, but translated now in English. Israel is just the beginning. Moshe Feiglin is an intellectual, a political leader, former Knesset member and Deputy Speaker of the House. He's running for Knesset again in the upcoming elections, which haven't been announced yet, but it's on the way soon. He's now the author of Israel's Just the Beginning, which is a book that will give you a sense really of Israel's trajectory, the spiritual, sociological issues that plague it, and how to cure them as well. At the end of the book is the third temple. That's where it's all leading. I want to bless you guys from the good land, from the land of Israel. I want to thank you, Moshe Feiglin, for being with us.
So cool.
All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed my discussion with Moshe Feiglin. Check out his book. It is found on Amazon. You can get it yourself, read it. It's in Hebrew, it's in English. It's awesome. And it certainly will give you a sense of the guts of Israel, what the sociology, what the psychology is, was, and where it's going. All right, other than that, I want to thank you so much for being with me and ask for your support to continue this kind of broadcasting and this kind of effort to beautify the land, to strengthen our Jewish identity, to make this light go out to the world. 2 ways that you could support us: fightforisrael.org. That's where we beautify the land. That's where we buy tractors for farmers. That's where we renovate biblical sites and make this land glow with God's light. Also, if you love our programming, a second way to support the show, and that is buymeacoffee.com/Yishai. Buymeacoffee.com/Yishai. Really easy. Other than that, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, become a member. Check out our fun web store at Yishai Fleisher TV. Other than that, don't forget to connect to Hashem, God Almighty. He gives us the strength. And all we have to do is to act in strength and to thank Him for the strength that He has given us to rebuild Yerushalayim, to rebuild Jerusalem, to ingather the exiles, to make this land of Israel a great light to the nations. And as Moshe Feiglin said, that is what the nations yearn for. All right, folks, wherever you are, I send you blessings from the land of blessings, and shalom.